Hello, hello, hello. What is going on, my loves? Welcome to another edition of the weekly Astro forecast here in the Astro room. As you can see, as always, I am your host, the Mel of Divine Feminine Works, your favorite astrologer and founder of Divine Feminine Works, where I help people unlock their divinity and discover their magic. So if you are new, welcome. And as always, if you are returning, welcome back. This channel is everything tarot, astrology, spirituality, and manifestation. So if those are the things you like, if those are the things you love, if those are the things you want to learn more about, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so you always be notified when I come out with new content. And speaking of content, if this isn't enough for you and you need more of my beautiful face and my wonderful words, head over to Instagram and hit that follow button. I've got loads of excellent daily content. Plus I go live over there every Thursday night at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time for live tarot readings by sign. All right. So welcome to the Astro Room. And welcome to another weekly forecast. All right. So we are making our way through the end of the year. It's officially fourth quarter, and this is going to be the last full week of Libra season. So all of my Libra sons, soak it up because come Sunday, you are out the door and we are welcoming Scorpio. All right. So as you can already tell by the title of this live, things are about to get deep. Okay. That's the essence of Scorpio energy. And we've got a lot going on this week. It's going to be a lot of intensity, not just because we're getting into Scorpio season. We've got a couple of aspects to Pluto, and we're gearing up for a solar eclipse, which is going down next week. But many of us are already starting to feel that energy. Many of us are already starting to experience some of that energy. So brace yourselves because things are going to get intense. But keep in mind that intensity is not always a bad thing. Intensity is not a bad word. The essence of Scorpio energy is really about purification, right? We're shown the ugly side of things. We're shown the real side of things, the nasty side of things, in order to understand not only just what they are, but in order to purify them as well. So you've heard the phrase purification through fire, right? Even though Scorpio is not a fire sign, it's definitely a fiery water sign. I'll say that much. So a lot of us are going through purification at this time in some way, shape, or form, and it all depends on where Scorpio is in your chart. But with this upcoming eclipse, the purification that's going to be taking place is going to be in relationships. All right. So there's a lot going on with that. I've done a complete separate video on the solar eclipse. So don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when that video comes out. All right. But first, housekeeping rules. Of course, if you are joining me here on the live, please don't forget to hit that like button on the way in and say hello to your fellow Astro Room companions. All right, let's get to know each other up in here. All right, so let's see what else. So one of the things that I'm excited about right now that I've implemented in my business is my weekly horoscopes by text. All right. So sometimes you don't always want to go online and read a whole full-blown horoscope for the week, right? So I've implemented this text line where every Monday you will get the horoscope suited to your rising sign or your sun sign, whichever you prefer. And it's right in your inbox. All right. So if you're interested in that, text ZODIAC to 855-826-5544. Again, that's 855-826-5544. Text ZODIAC and you will be on the list and you will get the weekly horoscopes by text. All right. And of course, by way of housekeeping and, all the stuff I do, if you are new to astrology or if you've been studying astrology, but you need a refresher, you'll definitely want to check out my Astrology Basics cheat sheet. It gives you the quick and dirty on the 4 basic pillars of astrology. These are the 4 things you need to know in order to start studying astrology and in order to start understanding astrology. But most importantly, in order to start understanding your natal chart. Your natal chart is the blueprint to your life. But if you have no clue what anything means, you'll want to download this cheat sheet so you can start learning. All right. So it covers the planets, the houses, the signs, and the aspects. All right. It's chock full of information. It gives you exactly what you need to know. It's an 11-page PDF document. And the best part is it is absolutely free. The link is in the description box below. You just have to drop your email address and you're good to go. All right. So let's see what else we have here. All right. So as you know, I revamped this series last week. And so I've implemented this section I like to call Learn Astrology. So rather than just spewing this information at you and hoping that it sticks and hoping that you understand it, each week I'm going to discuss 3 different things in astrology, right? In an effort to get you to understand what's going on a deeper level, right? And the 3 things that I'm going to be teaching you are things that are going on this week. So you'll definitely be able to start implementing this knowledge like immediately, and you'll start to understand a little bit more of what's going on. All right. So without further ado, let's get into this week's Learn Astrology segment. All right. So this is what we're learning this week. We're learning about a conjunction, a Kazimi, and we're going to talk a little bit about Scorpio. All right. So let's start with the conjunction. So the conjunction is an aspect. All right. And so a conjunction and when planets are 0 degrees apart, meaning that they are at the exact same degree. And conjunctions denote unity, blending energies, and what I like to call a third force. Okay. So basically what that means is, let's say you have the sun at 2 degrees Libra, right? You also have Venus at 2 degrees Libra. So those planets would be considered in a conjunction. And when planets are at the same degree, their energies blend together. So the energy of the sun, which is all about energy, inner authority, and self-confidence, is going to blend with the energy of Venus, which is about love, fairness, attraction, and magnetism. So when you put those 2 particular planets together, you get this self-awareness about love. You get this self-confidence when it comes to relationships or when it comes to money. You also get this awareness of your creativity and your magnetism. All right. And so I just picked those 2 planets at random, but it's actually very interesting because we have a very good aspect between the sun and Venus this week. It actually is a conjunction. All right. So think of the energy of the sun mixing with the energy of Venus. That sun energizes all of Venus's qualities. And that's one of the things that we're going to be experiencing later on this week. All right. So then next up, we have a Kazimi. And this is one of those hyper technical astrological terms. Okay. So it's a planet and the sun are conjunct. So I just spoke about a conjunction. So a Kazimi is specifically when the sun and another planet are conjunct. And basically what you need to know about that is that it's a sweet spot. It's a sweet spot. And it literally means heart of the sun. All right. So Kazimi means heart of the sun. And it denotes luck and good fortune. All right. So we actually have a Kazimi between the sun and Venus, which means that it is like one of the best days of the year in terms of good luck and good fortune when it comes to money or when it comes to relationships. All right. So essentially, a Kazimi means in the heart of the sun. So think about just the sun scientifically. You can't get too close to it because the closer you get to it, the hotter things are, right? If you get too close to the sun, you will fry up, literally. But when it comes to planets and their conjunction to the sun, there's this sweet spot that the planets can get to where it's the energy of the planet doesn't get burned out by the sun, because the closer a planet gets to the sun, the less the energy of that planet is felt because the sun just overpowers it. But there is this particular sweet spot where the energy of that particular planet is still present, and then it gets energized by the sun without burning up. It's like this beautiful energy that's super fortunate. It's all about good luck, and it's good luck depending on the topic that planet covers. And so since we're talking about the sun and Venus is all about love, relationships, and money. So I'll get to it in a second, but this Venus Kazimi going on this week is going to be one of the best days of the year in terms of love and money. All right. But I will discuss more about that later. All right. And then last but not least, we've got Scorpio, because we've got Scorpio season starting on Sunday. So Scorpio is the 8th zodiac sign. It is ruled by Mars or Pluto, depending on what school of astrology you study. Its traditional ruler is Mars. Its modern ruler is Pluto. It is a water sign, despite what the energy may feel like. Scorpio is definitely a water sign. And it's all about depth, darkness, and the truth. All right. So Scorpio is intense. If I had to choose one word to describe Scorpio, it would be intensity, because Scorpio is all about getting to the heart of the matter. Scorpio energy is all about the truth, no matter how ugly or how nasty that truth is, right? And Scorpio feels things very deeply. Right? Of the water signs, it's almost like Scorpio likes to deep dive. So imagine being a scuba diver and you are just diving to the depths of the ocean where it's dark, where it's cold, where you can't see anything. That's sort of the essence of Scorpio energy. And so during Scorpio season, we're definitely urged to deep dive, whether it's into our emotions, whether it's into our subconscious, or whether it's into our psyche. Okay. So a lot of times Scorpio season can be a time of not only intensity, but of emotional turmoil, because many of the things that we don't like, many of the emotions that we've stuffed under the surface tend to come up, right? It's almost like you try to bury a body and that shit just shows right back up. Okay. So it can be a time of emotional turmoil and intensity, like I said before, but the purpose of Scorpio energy is to purge. It's purging and transformation. If you've got a lot of emotional baggage, right, especially emotional baggage that's weighing you down and that presents itself as an obstacle towards the things that you want, right, you need to purge that and have a complete transformation. You need to let those things go so that you can experience the things that you want. And that's the essence of Scorpio season. It sort of calls us to dig deep within ourselves, take out the nasty parts, take out the things we don't need, take out our bad habits in order to be transformed and in order to experience profound transformation. All right. So that's what we have to look forward to with Scorpio season. It's a lot, but if you use the energy in the right way, it's actually really beautiful and very, very cathartic. All right. So that was this week's Learn Astrology. All right. Hopefully you guys were able to get some knowledge from that. So without further ado, let's get into the week. And of course, we start with the highlights. So first, we have what I call Lucky in Love. And this is that Venus Kazimi. Okay. We just learned what that meant. That Venus Kazimi. And that's going down on Saturday. So put a gold star next to that day because that is one of the days that you are going to want to wish upon a star. That's the days that you're going to want to manifest your boo. That's the day that you're going to want to try to manifest some money because the astrology is just beautiful for those topics. All right. The next we have what I like to call things get deep. Deep, baby, because we're going into Scorpio season, like I mentioned before. Not only is the sun going into Scorpio, but Venus is going into Scorpio as well. So we're about to have a double whammy of the Scorpio energy. And again, although it's intense, it's actually really good for us to purge, for us to transform, and for us to get right with ourselves. All right. And then we have what I like to call about face because we have another retrograde planet going direct. And this time it is Saturn. So Saturn is currently in Aquarius and it's been retrograde for a couple of months now. And just like the other planets that are slowly turning around and going direct, now it is Saturn's turn. So this is going to be a lot of futuristic energy or a lot of energy that's going to be focused on the future. I feel like when Saturn was retrograde, many of us were experiencing karma. Many of us were examining the structures in our lives, how discipline and diligence plays a part in our lives. And now that Saturn is going direct, we're going to have the opportunity to sort of see that play out in our environment. Like the lessons that we've learned over the last couple of months while Saturn was retrograde, we can now put those to immediate use now that Saturn is going direct. All right. So again, lots going on this week, but it's a lot of good stuff. All right. So let's talk about the week in general, or in detail, I should say. So today on Monday, we have the sun trine Mars, and then we have the moon in its home sign of Cancer. And then tomorrow, Tuesday, we've got Venus trine Mars. All right. So you see, I want you to take a look at this summary, right? You'll notice that whenever the sun makes an aspect to another planet, Venus is right behind it. All right. Venus is never too far away from the sun. And at this point in the year, the way that the orbit is set up, Venus is like right on the tails of the sun, particularly at the end of October and into the beginning of November. So Tuesday, we've got Venus trine Mars and the moon moving into Leo. Then on Thursday, we've got the sun square Pluto. On Wednesday, we have the sun square Pluto. On Thursday, we've got Venus square Pluto. And then we have the moon moving into Virgo. Then on Saturday, we've got that Venus Kazimi, that Venus in that sweet spot next to the sun, as the sun will conjunct Venus. Mercury is going to trine Saturn, and the moon is going to move into Libra. And then we close out the week on Sunday with the sun in Scorpio, Venus in Scorpio, and Saturn going direct in Aquarius. All right. So without further ado, let's start with Monday. All right, so today we've got the Sun trine Mars, which you will see Mars at the right-hand side of your screen. And then we've got the Sun in that cluster towards the top of your screen at 24 degrees Libra. And then we have the Moon in its home sign of Cancer, which you will see at the right side of your screen. All right, so let's get into it. So Sun trine Mars. Okay, so I don't know how you guys have been feeling over the last couple of days. The last couple of days have been kind of tough, I'll say that much. But with the Sun trine Mars, at least even if you haven't been feeling that well over the last couple of days, this energy of Sun trine Mars can actually energize you, especially when it comes to your purpose or your direction in life, okay? What I love about this trine, right? A trine, if you remember from last week, a trine is when two planets are 120 degrees apart. And a trine denotes harmony and effortless action. It's sort of like things just coming together. And you'll also know, and this is going into a little bit of advanced astrology. Well, not advanced, but sort of going a little deeper under the surface. Whenever you have a trine with two planets, both planets are going to be in signs of the same element. Okay, so I'll give you an example. The Sun is currently in Libra, which is an air sign. And Mars is currently in Gemini, which is also an air sign. So anytime you have a trine, give or take, both of the planets will be in signs of the same element. All right. Just another little piece of knowledge for you guys. So like I was saying before, even if the last couple of days have not been feeling that well, if you haven't been feeling that well, if you haven't been feeling that great over the last couple of days, Sun trine Mars gives you a big boost of energy, an energy that allows you to, discover your purpose, understand your purpose. It motivates you to pursue your purpose and your direction in life. Now, because both of these planets are in air signs, it's really about getting your mind right. It's like almost like if you get your mind on the frequency of what you want or what you feel like you need to be doing, it's almost like the universe is going to give you a giant push. It's going to give you that energy. So if you've been feeling lethargic, if you've been feeling down, all you have to do is get your mind right, which can be easier said than done. You know, I'm not going to lie about that. But all you have to do is get your mind right. And it's like the universe is going to give you the energy. It's going to give you that boost. It's going to allow you to understand and see your life purpose clearly. It's also going to give you the motivation to pursue it. It also may give you the physical energy to pursue it, not to mention a boost of self-confidence or even a boost of enthusiasm to pursue what it is that you feel like you're here to do. Okay. I'll give you a very personal example. So someone that I've known, someone that I've worked with in the past suddenly passed away on Saturday. And this person was my age. This person he unfortunately, but fortunately, passed away doing what he loved to do. He was a performer. His name was Mika Ben. I'm Haitian. I work in the Haitian music industry, and he was an amazing performer and an even more amazing person. And he was at a concert. He was doing what he loved, and he suddenly passed away. And it was super sad. It still is. It's very sad. It makes you feel like life is so short. It makes you feel like, you know, like life is short and just a very sad thing. But when I thought about it, I said to myself, you know, he was doing what he loved. He was living his purpose. And I know if I had to decide which way I was going to leave this earth, I would want to go doing something I absolutely loved. And it made me realize, and it strengthened my sense of purpose. Because number one, life is short. Time is fleeting, and someone could be here today and literally gone tomorrow. And if that is the fate for all of us, living your purpose is important. It's sort of this energy of Sun trine Mars today really got me thinking about what my purpose is. And it really got me amped and excited. Because, I mean, it just feels good, right? And it made me realize that he was living his purpose. He was doing exactly what he wanted to do. And although it is so sad that he's no longer here with us, he's an inspiration to follow your purpose. by all means. And that's sort of the essence of this Sun trine Mars energy. It's getting very clear on what it is that you're here to do. It's getting very clear on your purpose. It's getting very clear on where you're headed, what direction you want to go in. And once you get your mind on that, once you fix your mind on that, the universe is going to give you a giant push to get you going. So I'll say between today and into the rest of this week, if you need to figure out what you're here to do, do that. If you need to decide what you're here to do, do that. Because once you do, the universe, there's going to be no stopping you, because the universe is going to give you the best push. And not for nothing, Mars is getting ready to go retrograde. So this is sort of the last push for a while. Okay, Mars is in Gemini. Mars went into Gemini, I believe, in September, or maybe even August. And Mars is going to remain in Gemini until March. So Mars, wherever Gemini is in your chart, that Mars is hitting that sector of your life very hard for the next couple of months. But between the end of October and mid-January, Mars is going to be retrograde. And so that push and that enthusiasm that you feel right now, you're not going to be feeling that same thing over the next couple of months. So this is sort of the last push. It's the last, not the last opportunity ever, but you want to take advantage of this energy now, because it's not going to be the same in 2 weeks. So now is the time to get your mind right. Now is the time to fixate on what it is that you want to do, what it is that you're here to do, what is your purpose. Trust me, your purpose feels good. Your purpose isn't something that feels like a chore, although sometimes living in your purpose, it does get monotonous, right? It does get routine, but your purpose feels good. You'll feel it in your spirit, and you're meant to follow that. And once you do, once you set your mind to that, once you get your mind right, the universe will help you out effortlessly. You'll have the energy to do what you need to do, and you'll have the motivation to keep doing it. All right. So hopefully you guys understand what I'm trying to say. All right. And so today also the moon is in its home sign of Cancer. So while you may feel energized, you're also still going to feel very sensitive, because when the moon is in Cancer, we're very sensitive. We tend to be moody, but our intuition, our dreams, and our creativity are strong. All right. So whatever you're feeling today, allow yourself to feel it. It's not going to derail you from what you're here to do or what you're trying to do. Sometimes we just need to get our emotions out, whether that's crying, whether that's allowing yourself to be mad or frustrated. Whatever you're feeling today, allow yourself to feel it, because we're definitely going to feel it today with the moon in Cancer. All right. Now the moon is actually in its last quarter phase. And when the moon is in the last quarter phase, it's all about reevaluating the intentions that we set at the new moon. So it's almost like doing a check-in with yourself. And perhaps that's why you may be feeling emotional, because maybe you're checking in with yourself and you're saying, listen, I'm not nearly as far as I thought I would be with this thing. Or I've hit a roadblock and I'm feeling frustrated. And you're really going to be feeling it, perhaps viscerally today. Okay. I think many of us are feeling a lot of things viscerally today. But it's not just about reevaluating your intentions. It's also about taking responsibility for where you are. Okay. So if you've put in the work and things are sort of rolling and things are moving and things are coming together, this is sort of the time where you pat yourself on the back and you say, you know what? I did a good job. I did what I felt guided to do. I put in the work, and now I'm starting to see the rewards. Maybe you're not at the finish line yet, but you're probably a lot farther than you were before. So that deserves a pat on the back and some congratulations to yourself, right? But at the same time, if you didn't put in the work, if you allowed yourself to be distracted, if you veered off course, you also have to take responsibility for that. And it's not about self-loathing. It's not about blaming yourself. It's just about saying, listen, I could have done this better, but I didn't. Acknowledging it and then moving on. Right? But it's all about taking responsibility for where we are right now. And again, that may make many of us feel very emotional. It may make many of us feel moody, but that's par for the course with moon in Cancer. All right. So that is Monday. So now we're up to Tuesday. All right, my love. So on Tuesday, we have Venus trine Mars. Okay, remember, today we have the Sun trine Mars. Tomorrow, we have Venus trine Mars. And then we have the Sun moving into Leo. So you'll see Mars is in the same position at the right-hand side of your screen, the little red guy. And then we've got the sun. You see how Venus is close on the heels of the sun, right? If you look at the top left-hand portion of the chart, you'll see the sun in brown and you'll see Venus in turquoise. And then we have the moon moving into Cancer. I'm sorry. We have the moon moving into Leo. All right. So let's talk about it. All right. So we talked about Sun trine Mars. Now it's about Venus trine Mars. All right. So whereas the Sun trine Mars gives you this clarity, it gives you the opportunity to get clear on what you're here to do. Venus trine Mars, it awakens a lot of sexual desire and it awakens a lot of things related to relationships. All right. And it's not just about the physical nature of relationships, because Venus and Mars definitely speaks to sex, okay? But it's also about wanting to connect with other people. So this could be a time where you want to feel very social, all right? If we're still coming off the heels of that moon in Cancer, right? So many of us are feeling moody. And when the moon is in Cancer, we tend to be very private. We tend to, it's like a crab going into its shell. And so with Venus trine Mars that very next day, tomorrow, it's going to be, maybe you want to break out of that shell and now you want to talk to people. You may even want to talk to people about how you feel. All right. Especially if you really feeling a lot of things today. All right. But this is a good transit for dating. It's a good transit for relationships in general. So if you're dating, anytime you have Mars can be very aggressive, right? And when you're talking about dating, when you're talking about, interacting with people, when you're talking about relationships, Mars is very aggressive and direct. Mars is going to come to you and say, listen, I just want to have sex, or I just want to be friends. Like, Mars energy doesn't necessarily finesse, right? And sometimes you need that finessing energy when we're talking about dating and relationships. And Venus does just that. Venus likes to finesse because Venus is magnetic and charismatic. So when you put these two together in a trine, right? And again, we talked about a trine, 120 degrees, harmony, and effortless action. So when it comes to dating and relationships, you're going to have that primal desire, that desire for sex, that sexual tension, or whatever it is that you call it. But Venus makes it softer. Venus allows you to finesse the situation, okay? And because it's a trine, don't feel like when I say finesse, it means that someone's going to try to finesse you into your pants and sort of like trick you or anything like that. I don't mean that. It's just, the charisma that Venus embodies, right? When you put that together with Mars, it makes for very beautiful sexual energy, okay? Let's see. So yeah. It also makes you very popular, very attractive, very beautiful. Like, people can definitely find you very attractive and they want to get to know you. They want to talk to you, sort of all of that good stuff. Now, Venus also represents creativity. So anything having to do with music, art, fashion, beauty. When you have Mars in it, you may feel stimulated to start new creative projects, okay? And you're going to be very amped and motivated. So if you're someone who creates for a living, you're going to want to tap into that energy on Tuesday, because it's going to allow you to create some new stuff, some pretty dope stuff too, because Venus is going to be trine Mars. And it's also one of those days where you're just going to want to like hang out. Like, it's a great day to hang out with people. It's a Tuesday, so maybe you want to hit up someplace for Taco Tuesday. Maybe you want to get some drinks. Maybe you want to go to a party. Maybe you just want to hang out, have fun, and just be social. And Venus trine Mars is definitely amazing for that. All right. And then we also have, he said, basically different route, same destination. I like that. Are you talking about Venus and Mars? Or if you're talking about the whole finessing thing? But yes, I would say Venus and Mars are very similar in a way. They're flip sides of the same coin. So you're right. It's different sides of the same coin, but same destination. I love that. So thank you for adding that. All right. So then we have the moon moving into Leo. All right. And this is great energy also, because we've got Venus trine Mars, which is all about socializing, having fun, just relaxing, hanging out, right? And Leo is all about following your heart and having fun. So of all the days this week, I feel like Tuesday is the day that you're going to want to chill, go get a drink, even if it's by yourself. Like, you don't necessarily, although Venus trine Mars is definitely about hanging out with other people, right? But if you can also enjoy your own company. But definitely try to be a little social on Tuesday. It might also help you get out of the emotional rut you've been in. It might also help you feel better if you've been feeling a lot of intense emotions. You may just need a reset. And there's no better way to reset than to have some fun. Take your mind off what's bothering you. Take your mind off your burdens and just have some unbridled fun. All right. So when the moon is in Leo, it speaks to our inner child. It's all about following our heart. It's all about being passionate and creative and being childlike, right? Like you're not necessarily worried about adulting for the moment. You kind of just want to be free and you kind of, again, want to follow your heart and do what's pleasurable to you, right? Moon in Leo is all about finding pleasure, and we derive our emotional satisfaction from finding pleasure. Okay. Now the moon is going to be in the waxing crescent phase. The waning crescent phase. So we are definitely making our way towards that new moon eclipse next week. And when the moon is in the waning crescent phase, this is about surrender and reflection. So when we're going from the full moon to the moon is in the waning phase. I'm sorry if I misspoke before. And when the moon is in the waning phase, it's all about shedding what we no longer need. Okay. And it's also about surrendering. The waxing phase, when the moon is going from new to full, that's when we do all the things. That's when we take action steps towards the things that we want. And then the flip side of that, when the moon is in the waning phase, is we just allow. We figure out what we need, what we don't need, and we discard what we don't. And then we just allow. Okay. So tomorrow, allow yourself to have fun. Surrender to your heart. Whatever you've got going on, trust me, unless it's a dire emergency, I'm sure it can wait. Now, I don't want you to use this as an excuse for anything. Don't be telling people, oh, well, Mel said I don't have to do shit today. I didn't say that. I'm just saying surrender to your inner child. Have some fun, relax, and reset. All right. So now we are making our way to Wednesday. All right. So on Wednesday, we have the sun square Pluto. Okay, so we've got the sun at 26 degrees Libra at the top hand part of the chart. And then we have Pluto at 26 degrees Capricorn. All right. I don't know if you noticed, but my tone changed a little bit. Okay. Anytime you talk about Pluto, things get intense. Pluto is the planet of transformation, okay? It's the planet of death and rebirth. It's also the planet of destruction, okay? And it's not destruction for no reason. It's destruction to make way for better things. Again, think of the theme is transformation. Two of the best ways to describe Pluto energy is the phoenix rising from the ashes, and it's the caterpillar turning into the butterfly. And mind you, both of those processes are painful, okay? It's a destruction that leads to a rebirth, okay? So anytime we have Pluto in the mix in any sort of aspect, or if it's changing signs, know that whatever it's doing, it's going to be intense, all right? So one of the themes of Pluto is not just destruction, it's also control and power. And so a lot of times, whenever Pluto is in the mix, issues related to control and power come up. And you're always going to want to look at your chart to see where all of this activity is going down, because that can give you a clue as to what's going on. So it could show you where you feel powerful and maybe where you have power over other people or over a situation. It could also show you where you feel powerless and when you feel like you're being controlled by people. Now, whenever you have the sun not only energizes, it sheds light on things. So the sun can show you the truth of a situation, okay? Now, Pluto energy also represents the underworld. So a lot of times it represents things that we can't necessarily see, things that are going on, right? Things that go on in the dead of night when everyone is asleep. That's kind of the energy of Pluto. So when you have the sun square Pluto, we've got this bright light and then we have this underworld, and they're sort of clashing. So the sun in Libra, it's all about how we think about relationships, how we identify in terms of relationships, and sort of the truth of relationships, right? things like fairness, cooperation, things like that. When the sun is in Libra, that's the essence of that energy. Pluto in Capricorn is sort of like looking at the underbelly of things, especially the structures and sort of the harshness and the harsh reality of things. So this could show you where you may have ego conflicts or power struggles in your relationships. And it could be very latent, it could be very covert. It may not be something that's just out in the open, but it may be something that you feel. Maybe in a particular relationship, and whatever relationship it is, it's going to depend on where this is going down in your chart. It could be a situation where someone continuously tries to usurp you, or perhaps your partner tries to yield their will onto yours. But again, it's not overt, it's very covert, okay? So on Wednesday, you're going to want to be mindful of ego conflicts and power struggles, okay? Now, if you have issues with control and power, like let's say that's a sore spot for you, maybe it's an insecurity or a complex that you have. This is really going to bring this not only to the surface, but perhaps to a fever pitch. Like you're really going to be feeling this. And so the best way to sort of overcome this or any sort of ego conflict that you may be experiencing under this transit is to really think about why this is an issue for you. What is it about you that speaks to powerlessness or being, powerful? Maybe you have a lot of power, but the way that you're wielding it against other people is really ugly, or it causes a lot of conflict. You're going to want to understand your motivation behind why you want power, or why you want to be in control of people or of situations. And by understanding that, that's when you can transform. Because remember, I said that Pluto energy is all about transformation. So if you understand why you want power, if you understand why you feel this way when it comes to this person, why do you feel like they yield power over you or wield power over you? Why do you feel like you have to talk down to this person or you have to stifle this person to keep control of the situation? Understanding those motivations is going to help. It's going to help you a lot in terms of how you deal with power generally. It allows for the relationship to be transformed. So although it may be a tough transit, like maybe you get into a fight with someone, maybe that covert energy, that passive aggressive energy finally comes to the surface and you guys butt heads. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Because the thing with Scorpio and the thing with Pluto is that it brings up the ugliness so that you can clear it away. It's all about purification. So while you do want to avoid ego conflicts if you can, right? You definitely don't want to get into fights with people. And this isn't about, the whole point of all of this coming up is to transform. If you're not going to transform, then avoid ego conflicts altogether, because you're not going to be using the energy in the way that it's meant to be used. This is about purifying this relationship or purifying your relationship to power and control. So if it so happens that ego conflicts or confrontation comes up, don't avoid it. Lean into it so that you can transform not only the situation, not only the relationship, but yourself as well, and your relationship to power and control. All right. So that is that's going on Wednesday. All right. So next up, we've got Thursday. All right. So like I said before, Venus is close on the heels of the sun. So on Wednesday, the sun squared Pluto. So of course, on Thursday, Venus is going to square Pluto. It's like monkey see, monkey do kind of a thing. All right. So Pluto is still at the same degree. It's at 26 degrees Capricorn. We've got Venus at 26 degrees Libra. And then we have the sun moving into Virgo. All right. And you'll see that at the top right-hand portion of the chart. All right, so that same intensity that we were feeling with the sun square Pluto, we're going to be feeling that with Venus square Pluto. But this is sort of a continuation of that sun square Pluto energy. Because remember, the sun is still in Libra. Libra is about relationships. Venus is in Libra also. And Venus is the ruler of Libra. It's the ruling planet of Libra. And so it's all about relationships. So you're going to want to take a look at your natal chart, okay? And see you would need to look at the transits actually. And if you need help with that, hit me up because we can discuss that. And, I've got products and services geared toward that. But Wherever Venus and the Sun and Pluto are in your chart, that's going to tell you what relationships this relates to. Okay. And so again, this is going to echo that Sun square Pluto energy as it relates to relationships. So control issues, power issues. But now that we're talking about relationships, we're going to be talking about some low vibrational stuff that goes in relationships. And so I'm talking about jealousy, manipulation, possessiveness, obsession. These things are going to come to a head with Venus square Pluto. So if your relationship is cool, right? If you don't have any of these issues either in your relationship or of yourself, right? We all can be a little jealous. We're human, right? But unless you have if jealousy and manipulation in relationships is like your Achilles heel, you're going to have an issue with this transit. Now, the perfect way for this to play out, let's say you're in a relationship with someone, a romantic relationship with someone, and you already don't trust them. They're always on their phone. Whenever you go out to eat, they put their phone face down. Like, the nerve, right? Like, why would you put your phone face down? What are you trying to hide? Who's calling you? Who is that? Why is your phone always going off? I'm sure you've seen these kind of things, or maybe you've experienced them. Now, with Venus square Pluto, you are going to be feeling extra insecure, extra jealous, extra manipulative, and maybe even vindictive also. This is where you're going to go head to head with your partner about these things that make you feel jealous or these things that emotionally trigger you, okay? It can be a very tough transit if your relationship is not on solid ground. If you guys have a lot of emotional baggage from old relationships, if you within yourself have issues of jealousy, insecurity, all of that is going to come to the surface and it's going to come to a boiling point, okay? So this could mean conflict, this could mean fights. The thing with Pluto is about endings. So if you find that you break up at this particular juncture, that's par for the course anytime you're talking about Pluto. So if you don't want to break up with someone, you're going to need to take a step back, relax, calm down, and reevaluate things. Again, just like I said with the Sun square Pluto, understanding why you have issues with power and control is going to allow the situation to transform. Same thing with Venus square Pluto, but now you're going to want to understand why you are jealous. Where does that stem from? It's almost like you have to get to the root of the problem. And to get to the root of the problem, just like with a plant, when you get to the root, you got to dig really deep in that dirt. So you're really going to have to do some soul searching or do some shadow work to really understand the root of your jealousy, the root of your possessiveness, the root of your obsession. And in understanding that, you transform yourself and thereby transform your relationship. All right. Everything starts with you. This isn't about, oh, he's doing this. Oh, she said this. Oh, she acts this way. No. They're just playing out what you believe and feel about yourself. If you, and not even just yourself, when we're talking about relationships, if you feel like all men cheat, if you feel like everybody's a cheater, nobody is loyal, guess what? You're going to keep attracting people who fit that description. You created the story, you created the movie, and all you're going to do is cycle in people to play that role. That's why you have to get to the root of the issue. Are you just parroting other people's stories? Because a lot of times, and I've been a victim of this too, like it's not something that I feel inherently in me, but because everyone is saying it, I'm like, oh, it must be true, right? Back when I wasn't necessarily on this spiritual journey, yeah, all men cheat. Yeah, all men are dogs. I mean, everyone says it, right? It's got to be true. That may not be your story. Maybe your story is that you've had great relationships, or maybe you haven't had perfect relationships, but maybe you've been treated well in relationships, right? You have to craft your own story. And when you craft your own story and you inherently believe your own story, you start cycling in people who reflect that story. All right. So with Venus square Pluto, it's all about getting to the root of some of those low vibrational things that we deal with in relationships. Understanding why is, again, not only going to transform you, but it's going to transform your relationships. All right. And then next we have the moon moving into Virgo on Thursday also. So this is great, right? Because Pluto allows us, all this Pluto energy allows us to get to the heart of the matter, right? It gets us to understand some of these emotions that we feel so we can transform. And with the moon in Virgo, you're going to want to make sense of these things. Pluto, the way Pluto is going to work out is that you're going to feel these things emotionally, and then the moon in Virgo is going to allow you to make sense of them intellectually. So you can analyze why you feel the way that you feel. You can make sense of your emotions. You can sort of look at it a bit objectively, right? Because Virgo energy is very practical. It's very analytical because it's ruled by Mercury. So by and large, Thursday is going to be a day when you're going to want to do some soul searching. It may not even be just Thursday, maybe going into the weekend as well. But you're going to want to do some soul searching, especially if relationships, whatever relationships you're in, if you're experiencing things like ego conflicts, if you're experiencing things like jealousy, manipulation, possessiveness, all of that stuff, if your relationships aren't on the best footing, Thursday is going to be the day that you're going to want to examine yourself. Pluto also rules things like psychology and self-analysis. And again, being able to do that at a deep root level, and then with the moon in Virgo allowing you to make intellectual sense of it, right? It's going to be the perfect day to examine yourself. And even if you don't examine yourself, Thursday may actually be a great day to speak to someone like a therapist, a professional, or even someone like a friend or a mentor who you can really speak to truthfully and authentically about how you feel, why you're feeling how you feel, and all of that stuff. All right. So definitely keep that in mind. All right. So next up, we have a Saturday. All right. And so Saturday, this is the gold star day of the week. All right. This is what we've been waiting for. We've got the sun conjunct Venus. So you'll see at the bottom right-hand side of your screen, we've got the sun at 29 degrees Libra. We've got Venus at 29 degrees Libra. We also have the moon moving into Libra. So Saturday is a lot of Libra energy. That's why it's really great for relationships. And then we have Mercury at 18 degrees Libra. You know, this is a stellium. We didn't learn about this week. We'll probably learn about it next week. But when you have that cluster of planets together in the same sign, it is called a stellium. Okay. Then we have Mercury at 18 degrees Libra, and it is going to be trine to Saturn at 18 degrees Aquarius. And then again, we've got the moon moving into Libra. So lots going on Saturday, but it is good, honey. When it comes to, you get no better than Kazimis. Kazimis, like we learned before, it's when a planet is in the sweet spot next to the sun. And it's all about good luck and good fortune. And again, in the sign of Libra, it's all about relationships. So this is still building on the energy of earlier in the week, right? Because we had all of that intensity with relationships with the sun and Venus square Pluto, right? So it's almost like, you know, I said before that Pluto is about endings. So you may feel when you're in the throes of conflict, when you're in the throes of confrontation, that this is the end, right? This relationship is not going to work out. It's irreparable, right? But then Saturday comes along and the sun is conjunct Venus. We've got Venus Kazimi, and the universe is like, nope, not so fast. You thought it was done? Nah, I'm going to make it sweeter. You really want this relationship? It can work. It's almost like you may have gone through this conflict. You may have gone through this war almost. It may even feel like a battle, these ego conflicts with all of this Pluto energy. And then it's like on Saturday, the universe brings peace and harmony and good fortune. All right. So rest assured that any sort of conflicts you're going through with relationships this week, any sort of ego conflicts, any sort of kind of arguments, disagreements, confrontations, it can really end well. You know, but don't take it for granted either. Don't just assume that it's going to end well. You still got to do the work. You still have to self-examine. You still have to self-reflect. You still have to do that emotional work and getting down to the root of things, right? And if you do that, you will be rewarded with a nice relationship, a relationship that's at least better than it was a couple of days ago. Okay. So keep that in mind. Now, what's interesting, what makes this even better is that both the sun and Venus are at 29 degrees. Anytime any planet is at 29 degrees of a sign, it is called the anaretic degree. And that is like the degree of all degrees. It's the most intense. It's almost like the universe is squeezing the energy out of that planet, right? So it's like the energy reaches a fever pitch. With the sun at 29 degrees, Venus at 29 degrees, Venus is Kazimi at 29 degrees. That relationship energy, that good fortune, that good luck, all of that goodness and abundance and light and energy that goes with relationships is going to be at an all-time high. Okay, so this is the star day. It's one of the best days of the year actually for relationships. And so being that they're both in Libra, and Libra is the peacekeeper, right? It's all about bringing peace and harmony, whether it's in an existing relationship or even a past one. This can allow you to mend relationships. This can allow you to get back with someone. This can allow you to smooth over all of that intensity that you've experienced over the last couple of days. All right. But again, you got to do the work. Although you're going to be given a sprinkling of good luck and good fortune regardless, if you do the emotional work leading up to it, that sprinkling is going to be like a shower or a tsunami. All right. So do the work and be handsomely rewarded. All right. And then we have we've got Mercury trine Saturn. All right. What page am I at? Oh, there we go. Mercury trine Saturn also on Saturday. So I want you to pay attention. So we've had a lot of the same aspects, right? We have trines. This makes the third trine of the week. We've also had a couple of squares. So it's almost like the way that the energy is playing out this week, it's like you got to take the good with the bad. Okay. Like, yes, things are going to get intense. Things are going to be a little frustrating, but there's also going to be a lot of good energy at your disposal. So if you feel like you're on an emotional roller coaster, if you feel like the energy is a bit all over the place, that's why. Okay. So Mercury trine Saturn. What I love about this so notice that all of the astrological aspects are sort of building on each other. Like we had that Sun trine Mars, Venus trine Mars, right? Then we had Sun square Pluto, Venus square Pluto. Then we have Sun conjunct Venus. Now Mercury trine Saturn sort of puts an official stamp on things because that's the energy of Mercury trine Saturn. It's official. It's serious. It's being mature in the way that you think. Okay. Now Mercury is in Libra, of course. So again, relationships. So what I love the most about this is like, let's say you had a crazy emotional week with your partner or a colleague, right? You kind of went head to head, a lot of intensity, ego conflicts, all that stuff I mentioned before. Then Sun trine Venus allows you to make peace, right? And allows things to, even out, right? Then you have Mercury trine Saturn, which allows you to make it official. Okay. So let's give an example that's not, romance related. Let's say this is a business partnership. Okay. And maybe things haven't been equal. And this whole Pluto square to Sun and Venus earlier this week brings out issues related to who holds more power in this partnership, who's pulling more weight, who's doing this, who's doing that. And of course, it brings ego conflicts. And not just that, it brings up how you feel about yourself, how you may feel powerless or whatever, right? It's a tough week. Then the Sun conjunct Venus, you guys can come to an accord. You guys can come to an agreement, right? And then Mercury trine Saturn allows you to sign on the dotted line. Make this whatever arrangement that you've come to, whatever conclusion you've come to after you've gone through the trenches and you've sort of put all the ugliness on the table. You put all your cards on the table and now you guys decide that, okay, this is what we're going to agree to. Now you can formalize it. Now you can sign on the dotted line. Now you can put the contract together and sign it and make it official. So that's an example of how Mercury trine Saturn can work in this whole sort of situation this week, right? So this is about, if you had to sum up Mercury trine Saturn, it would be your word is your bond. Okay. And because Mercury is in an air sign, Libra, and Saturn is in an air sign, Aquarius, this is making plans for the future, sticking by your word, committing to something or someone, making things serious. It also gives you a serious frame of mind. So it's not like you're thinking about the future in a fantastical or frivolous sort of way. This is being serious and practical about what the future looks like and being able to commit to that. That's the most important thing I want you to remember with this transit with Mercury trine Saturn. It's being in the serious frame of mind to commit to things. So you see how relationships can truly be transformed. Remember I said Pluto is all about transformation. You have the energy to really turn your relationships around with the energy this week. All right. So you're definitely going to want to use it to your advantage. And then we've got the moon moving into Libra. If it's like a Libra overload, right? So the way that you feel, because the moon represents our emotions, the way that you feel about relationships is going to come to the forefront. And with you being in a serious frame of mind, for you to make plans for the future, for you to commit to something or someone, you're going to feel good about it. You're going to be in that frame of mind, and you're going to be in that frame of emotions in order to make that happen. Moon in Libra is also great for cooperating. It's also great for socializing. All right. So maybe, and I want you to know that just because these things are happening on particular days doesn't mean that it's only going to happen on that day, right? It's not like on Wednesday and Thursday, you're going to come to blows with somebody. Then on Saturday, you're going to find peace, and then you're going to like get engaged the same day. No, these are the energies that are working at this time, but they can play out over a longer period of time. You know, energy is fluid. So even if you find that the week is tough, even if you find that you're dealing with a lot of tough emotions, come Saturday with the moon in Libra, relax, hang out with people. The same way I said that Tuesday was a great day to hang out. Tuesday's a day to party, right? Because we've got the moon in Leo and we've got Venus trine Mars. That's the day to party. Saturday's just going to be a day where you want to hang out. If it's, at night, maybe you just want to chill with a bunch of friends and watch a movie, all right? Or maybe have drinks or something low key, right? It doesn't have to be low key, but just socializing with people and sort of taking your mind off of the stuff that, has been heavy and intense over the week is going to do you some good, all right? And you're going to need it because next we go into Sunday, all right? And by the time we get to Sunday, the energy is going to shift. All right. So on Sunday, we've got the Sun and Venus moving into Scorpio. And then we have Saturn going direct in Aquarius. And you'll see the Sun and Venus both at 0 degrees Scorpio on the right-hand side of the chart. And at the very top hand part of the chart, you will see Saturn in maroon at 18 degrees Aquarius. All right. So still this focus on relationships, right? And let me not say that the energy is going to shift entirely, because what happened is that we started to feel this intensity earlier in the week with Pluto in the mix. And I want to remind you from our little lesson before about Scorpio, Pluto is one of the ruling planets of Scorpio. So it's almost like Pluto is getting us ready for Scorpio season, right? On Wednesday and Thursday, Pluto's like, listen, shit's about to get real, so get ready. I'm giving you a little taste of it right now, but come Sunday, it's go time. And so when the Sun and Venus move into Scorpio, relationships get very intense and very real, right? You can also really transform relationships when Venus is in Scorpio. Money becomes an issue. Now, Scorpio, when you talk about Scorpio and money, you're talking about like debt. Okay. So if you have if you have outstanding invoices, if you have money that you owe people, Venus in Scorpio is probably going to gently remind you that you need to pay your debts. All right. Or you may have debts start to accumulate when Venus is in Scorpio. Now, with the Sun in Scorpio, it's like our consciousness is focused on transformation. Our consciousness is focused on things that are mysterious, things are taboo. It is no coincidence that Halloween is during Scorpio season, because all of that Halloween kind of stuff is the essence of Scorpio. And with the Sun in Scorpio, that's where our minds and our consciousness are fixated. All right. So for the next couple of weeks, for the next 4 weeks while the Sun is in Scorpio, this is a time to get deep. Okay. And a time to get authentic. And the fact that Venus is right there with the Sun, when it comes to relationships, it's time to get real. I always say Venus in Scorpio shows you the ugly side of your partner or the ugly side of a situation. And it's not meant to deter you, right? It's meant to forge authentic and true relationships. One thing about Scorpios, if you know or are close to any Scorpios love the truth, and Scorpios can be very intense. While they like to put it in perspective, Libra loves things to look good, right? Libra loves to have a great aesthetic. I always liken Libra energy to Instagram. It's where people like to show their curated life, not their real life. Venus in Scorpio, Sun in Scorpio is the exact opposite. Venus in Scorpio is like, show me your mess. Show me who you really are. Show me where you're insecure, where you're vulnerable, where you're an asshole, where you're dirty. Show me all of that so I can love you for it, right? Venus in Scorpio is all about authentic relationships and understanding how you feel in relationships on a very substantive level. All right. So while both planets are in Scorpio, it's about to get deep and it's about to get real with yourself, real with your partners, and real with your counterparts. Venus in Scorpio also speaks to creativity, but creativity that may be taboo, creativity that may be gory, creativity that may not be a pretty aesthetic, right? So you may be tapping into your darker side when Venus is in Scorpio, especially when it comes to what you create or what you give birth to, okay? So Scorpio is all about the darkness. You know, like I mentioned before, it's like deep sea diving, right? Getting to the bottom of the ocean where it's dark, where it's cold, where nobody ever goes. That's the essence of Scorpio energy. And with the sun and Venus in that sign, it's about getting to the heart of things, both our consciousness, our identity, our motivation, our life purpose, and our relationships and our relationship to money. All right. So that's what we have to look forward to with the sun and Venus in Scorpio. And then finally, we close out the week with Saturn going direct in Aquarius. So Saturn's been retrograde in Aquarius for the last couple of months. And on Sunday, it's finally going to turn direct. When Saturn was retrograde, we were very much taking that Saturn energy and turning it inward. So because Saturn rules things like obstacles, challenges, karma, and things like that, the things that we don't really like in life, hard work and things like that, that energy was directed inward. So many of us may have been experiencing karma for past actions. Many of us may just have been examining the structures in our life, how we've been operating, and if those things still make sense, right? Making sense of our structures, making sense of our beliefs, even on a very structural and practical level. And so now that Saturn is going direct in Aquarius, it's going to be about looking to the future. And that energy of Saturn is going to be expressed outward. So you're not going to be internalizing that energy. You're going to see it play out in society, right? The structures in society, particularly government, big business, large institutions, and how their viability for the future, it may bring up their viability for the future. You may see a lot of larger corporations, maybe even the government to a certain extent, thinking more about the future and taking action steps toward that. All right. So maybe perhaps what they've been doing in the past hasn't been working, particularly with Saturn retrograde. They sort of had to internalize that and reflect on that. Now you're going to see the effects of that reflection. So perhaps companies are going to change their business model. They may change how they do business. They may change their products, how they deal with the public, etc. Or they may just not exist. Because maybe they don't have a viable future. Maybe their structure, the way that they operate, isn't compatible with where the world is going or where society is going. So you may see a lot of large institutions. You may see, well, we are seeing governments crumble, right? But you may see that with large institutions. You may see that with big business, or you may see some really interesting innovation, some new things geared toward the future. So grab your popcorn because things are going to get very, very interesting. All right. And so, my loves, that has been this week's weekly astro forecast. I noticed that I started to go a little longer with these lives because, I talk a lot more. There's a lot more to learn. I feel like I go a little more in depth with this. So if you like this, let me know. Shoot me a comment or whatever, even if you're watching this on the replay. Let me know if you like this style, if there's anything else that you want to learn, or if there's anything else that you want to hear me talk about with these lives, because these are ultimately for you. It's for you to not only understand astrology, but understand how astrology affects you in real time. That's the purpose of these lives. And I hope that I'm fulfilling that purpose for you every week. All right. So thank you so much for tuning in. I wish you nothing but the best for this week. And we will see each other same time, same place, same amazing astrology next week. All right. Take care.